spending some time with Marianne Brown, fitness director at Train Performance. And the topic that we would like to discuss is kind of near and dear to both of us and it involves, parents and um, the mistake that we make as parents in sacrificing our health or our time because of all the things that our kids and families have. Um, Marianne, maybe just kick us off with a piece of encouragement that, parents shouldn't be uh, making that sacrifice and not choosing their own health and some time for themselves.
Sure. Thanks, Brett. I'm really glad that we're having this particular conversation because it's one that comes up all of the time. It's a huge reason why people will choose not to come to the gym or go work out or do even anything at home, right? They're that I have other things to do, other responsibilities. I can take care of myself later. I can do what I need to do for myself later. And then later never really seems to come because we're all very, very busy.
Yeah, yeah, yep. The definitely in this day and age where kids activities or family activities are at a high level, at a probably an all-time high of schedules are figured out, and practices and games and school events and so forth. What why do you feel parents choose to push their selves to the side?
Sure. I mean, we all are looking for the ability to give our children the opportunities that maybe we never had or that we feel like they deserve, trying to provide for them as much as we can. And many times that is at the sacrifice of our own mental health, physical health, time just to ourselves, time with our spouse, time with our significant others, our friends. Like we'll sacrifice a lot to make sure that we are providing those opportunities for our children. I think it's extremely difficult nowadays when there's so much pressure for the kids to be involved in everything. Um, it's really difficult to make the choice to take that time for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
even
Yep.
though we know it's so very much needed.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe kind of build on that. Why? Well, I think we all know, right? We need to give our physical and mental health the attention that it needs, because it can snowball if we don't. Yeah, just what is that encouragement of why do we need to make that time?
Sure. I mean, we're spending, like we said, all this time making sure that our kids have everything that they need, making sure our spouse has everything that they need, our friends, whatever. We're spending all of that time and we don't have any, we're not taking the time that we need to decompress for ourselves. And, making the choice or the commitment to go to the gym for that 1 hour, it's just 1 hour out of the 24 that we have in the day that we're putting out to everyone else to make sure that we're okay. We've heard the gym therapy talk all of the time, and sometimes it isn't just about getting to the gym to be physically fit, because of course that's important. But sometimes it's just that break, that needed break away from all of the responsibilities of your job and your kids and your house and your whatever else you have going on. Everybody has all different stories going on in their life, and we're all dealing with and struggling with various issues. And that 1 hour away or that time away just to get a quick workout in for yourself, it on one side, it feels very selfish, but I look at it like it's selfish if you don't take care of yourself.
Yeah,
Because if you sacrifice your health, your mental well being, your physical well being at the expense of everyone else, eventually it's going to catch up and they will end up taking care of you anyway.
yeah, yeah. That's so good, and I mean it. It's hard. I know. I'm interested in this topic so much because it's truly what my wife and I are living. We have three very active kids, and just it becomes the reason why that we're not able to pour into ourselves, and as we know we should. The gym therapy concept, I that was really resonating with me, and I remember a story that you shared with me on, that you used to have a group that you would work out with, in an old previous gym that you were in. You would work out with that group at 4 o'clock every day, and it was a as much as it was a physical focus, it was a therapy session where you all were friends and talking and venting and living out the struggles of your lives. Yeah, maybe share on that experience that meant so much to you.
Yeah, we had a class years ago is our 4 o'clock class. And our warm up was very unstructured. Our warm up time was, here's what you're going to do for the warm up. But this really is more about that 4 o'clock hour, who just got stuck in traffic, who just dealt with their kid, who just had a crap day at work with their boss, and whoever had kind of the worst day took lead on venting. And just hearing each other's stories and hearing each other's struggles not only provides validation that you're not the only one going through something, but someone else might be going through something that's much worse than what you're going through. And so it allowed us in that 4 o'clock hour for the group of ladies that were in that to just kind of support each other and say, oh man, that's really crappy. Or, oh, hey, I have advice for you. Or, oh, you know, whatever the advice might be, whatever the validation of your feelings might be, like that's what we need mentally, is, is just the ability to release some of the worries that are going on. And maybe that is that parent guilt of, I just left my child with a babysitter to be here, but it was so needed. And I'm glad that I did. I'm glad I'm here.
Yeah,
Or, my child is sick and I just left them at home with my husband and I don't know if he can handle it, kind of a thing. And
right.
I really wasn't sure if I should come, but here I am. And I mean, it was just such a great outlet for me personally. And then, when situations changed and I was no longer able to participate in that group for myself, I definitely missed it. And it was something that I know that I needed. I recognized at that time, and so I had to find another outlet for myself
Yeah,
because that therapy is so important.
yeah, yeah. That's so good. That's so good. Thanks for sharing that. I know another reason that this is, near and dear to myself. And I mean, my wife and I talk about this a lot. She does so much for our household and our family that, I hear it in her voice and I hear her, we talk about that sometimes, finding that time for her to get that mental unload or to get that physical, time in the gym. She deals with a lot of guilt, and I know as husbands and men, I know we can fall short on that, right? We can fall, short on maybe our activities take precedent, or our activities, it's easy to think, okay, well, the kids can stay with mom, for our activities, but can we think about that in reverse? Can the kids stay with us or be with us, be present with us for her activities? Maybe, would you be willing to kind of share on that sort of mom perspective? Because I know you live it as well.
Yeah, I mean, personally live it. And, with a lot of my clients, that's what I hear. And not that this is, I don't think it's in all I can't say that it happens all the time and it's not in every family situation, but many times the expectation is that the mom is going to handle the doctor's appointments when the child is sick, the school things, the practices, dads will show up for the games kind of a situation, but mom is responsible to make sure that everything else is handled. I think that is the expectation, right or wrong. And so then as a mother, going through that guilt of finding someone else to do it so that I can go to the gym and get my workout in, or asking my husband to do it, which seems silly because they're his kids too, right? But
Right.
when you're talking to women and when we're having those conversations, that's how it's presented. I have to ask my husband to do such and such so that I can go to the gym. And again, this is not a man bashing by any stretch of the imagination, because it may not be the right perception, but it is the perception that we have as females, that it is primarily our responsibility to take care of the children. That's our role. And that guilt that we have when we leave them, or when we choose to leave them, whoever we're leaving them with, really is a strong factor when it comes to choosing to or not to work out or go to the gym or go to therapy or whatever it might be that we're doing to take care of ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I know. I feel, definitely is on my heart to ask those tough questions of, am I helping that scenario in our family, or am I hurting that scenario? Really, this discussion has provided me really kind of two thoughts. One, making sure that I'm not sacrificing my mental and physical health for my kids' activities and schedule, but then also just supporting, my wife in her journey to find her time, and her journey to find her outlet, and really trying to look at that holistically as a family, to be good examples, to take care of us, to ultimately give ourselves the individual outlets that we need, to be mentally and physically the best versions of ourselves. What
Yeah, and I mean, we all know, and you personally, you know so many dads that are very, very involved. They are the coaches, so they are there they're
Mhm.
coaching the kids teams, and they're coaching those teams throughout the years. So it's not to say that it's not both sides.
Right.
Dads have that guilt as well. It happens to everyone, and then it eventually, like you suggested earlier, snowballs into this shame of, I've let it go really long,
Yeah.
and I too long have not been taking care of myself, and then that can sometimes add to the guilt and the shame and the embarrassment of, how do I get started when I've let it go this long? I've been taking care of my family and my kids, and doing all of the things, and I think I'm now past the point of no return. And so that can be a big deterrent in somebody choosing to take that hour or take that time to the gym, or whatever it might be as well. There's so much guilt and shame surrounding whatever we have going on in our lives. Um, we need to be selfish.
Yeah.
It's important to make sure that we take that time. It I can't stress that enough.
Yeah.
Even if it isn't physical, you need that mental break, that mental time for yourself.
Well, what are the recommendations if somebody is having that difficulty in getting back started? Maybe they do feel that they've created that snowball, and they feel overwhelmed, or they feel embarrassed, or they feel shameful. What's your encouragement for 'em?
I think exactly what you're doing with your family. It's the communication. Open up that line of communication and learn what the perspective of your spouse is. We all know that we need that support system. If it's not a spouse or a boyfriend, maybe it's your parents, maybe it's your neighbor, maybe it's your babysitter. Open up that line of communication and share what you need.
Mm-hmm.
Be okay, and know that you're not by yourself. There's millions of other people that are going through this exact same thing, and you feel guilty for leaving your kid at home or whatever it might be so that you can go take care of yourself, and so does everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And by having that conversation, maybe your spouse doesn't know that you feel that way, and maybe they want to help, maybe they want you to go to the gym, maybe they want you to have that time alone, and they just don't even know how to ask. Because how many times have you asked your wife, hey,
Right.
do you want me to watch the kids so you can go to the gym? Boy, that's a sword, right? It's a
Yeah.
double-edged
Not,
sword. Like, if
not
you ask
often.
that question. So my suggestion for anyone who is in that position where they're trying to decide and they do have that guilt, feel free to open that dialogue with your significant other and let them know how you feel. Like, hey, I really need that time to myself. How can we make this work? Do you want to go together? Do we want to get a babysitter and maybe we take that time together and it's our couple time? Do Do we want to go with a friend? Do you have a friend that can go with you? And that's a lot of times a big, easy way is find a friend who's also going through the same thing. We
Yeah.
all have mom friends or dad friends who are
Yeah.
in the same situation. Maybe they can join with you, and that can be your support system. And now the dads are teaming up together to keep the kids, and then it swaps, then dads go together to the gym and the moms have the kids. So I mean, I think there are different solutions, but you have to open up that line of communication and be okay with saying it out loud that you need
Yeah.
that help, and not judging yourself for it, not judging yourself for the time that you've been away from the gym, not judging yourself for the time that you want to go to the gym. um, Legitimately being okay with yourself to say, I deserve this. I deserve to have that 1 hour to myself. I'm handling all of these things. I need to take care of myself for this time. And being okay to say that out loud, being okay to say that out loud with your significant other or whoever else is involved in your life that can help.
That's great. Wow, super encouraging. Great, great advice. Yeah, I appreciate that message, and I know a lot of other people will as well. So thank you, Marianne.
Thanks for letting me share.